حي على الفلاح.
Islam is Brunei's official religion. 82.70% of the population is Muslim, mostly Sunnis of Malay, Arab and Indian origin who follow the Shafi'i school of jurisprudence. Almost an enclave within eastern Malaysia, Brunei is geographically separated into two parts, both surrounded on three sides by the Malaysian state of Sarawak, and on the north by the South China Sea. Situated on Borneo, which is part of a large island grouping called the Malay Archipelago, Brunei has a population that is 2/3 ethnic Malay and approximately 1/5 ethnic Chinese, the latter living in Brunei's urban areas. The balance of the population consists of various groups of indigenous peoples. Islam is Brunei's official religion. Buddhism is practiced by 13%, Christianity by 10%, and indigenous beliefs and practices, such as animism, by the remaining. Brunei has a history shaped by its proximity to maritime trade and the vital shipping lanes leading through the South China Sea and into the Indian and Pacific Oceans. Traces of Hindu influence arrived via trade or conflict with Java. By the early 15th century, Muslim traders from India settled in the region and brought with them the religion that shapes Brunei's government and continues to be practiced by the majority of its population. According to Chinese sources, Islam had arrived in Brunei by 1371, and the people at that time used an Arabic-like script called Jawi. Early Borneo kingdoms were under the cultural, economic, and political influence of larger Hindu and Buddhist kingdoms in the Indonesian archipelago. There is evidence of early trade with India and China dating as far back as the 6th century, with a rich trade in camphor, spices, precious woods, and exotic jungle products in the area that is now modern-day Brunei. Before the region embraced Islam, Brunei was within the boundaries of the Sumatran Srivijaya Empire, then the Majapahit Empire of Java. According to a royal ark, excavations unearthed near the capital suggests that the Chinese may have controlled or at least traded in the area as early as 835 AD. Camphor and pepper seem to have been prized objects of trade. Brunei hard camphor had a wholesale value equivalent to its own weight in silver. The kingdom was undoubtedly a very wealthy and cultured one. Ming Dynasty accounts give detailed information about visits and tribute missions by rulers of Po Ni during the late 14th and early 15th century. Their names and titles suggest either Hindu or Buddhist influence, not Islamic. The texts confirmed that the state was tributary to the Hindu Javanese Majapahit Empire, but sought and received Chinese protection in 1408. According to Royal Ark, Islamic tombs have been found and dated to 1264, 1432, and 1499, and a letter from the ruler of Po Ni to the Emperor of China dates from 1371 and is written in Arabic script. However, none of them has any inscriptions, names, or indications that they belong to rulers or members of the royal family. As late as 1514, the Captain General of Malacca reported that although the merchants of Brunei were Muslim, their king remained a pagan. The Temenggung of Malacca at that time was a Brunei Muslim and seems to have confirmed this information. In the following year, the Portuguese superintendent of the spice trade reported that it was not long since the king had become a Muslim, thus dating the conversion to circa 1515, not 1363. Such a date would also tally with mention of the part played by the Johori Sultanate established after 1511 and the conversion of the ruler. The paucity of royal tombs and engraved headstones is also remarkable, until one realizes that as Hindus or Buddhists, they would have been cremated, not buried. It is obvious from this that contemporary foreign records do not corroborate the official chronology. The ruler of Brunei probably did not convert to Islam until circa 1515. However, the Ming Shi, Book 325, a Chinese reference book, noted that the king of Brunei in 1370 was Mahomosa. Some say that this should be read as Mahmud Shah, but local Brunei historians take this to refer to Muhammad Shah, the first Islamic Sultan of Brunei. Robert Nicol, a former Brunei Museum curator, argued in another paper entitled Notes on Some Controversial Issues in Brunei History in 1980 that the name Mahomosa could be pronounced as Maha Moksha, which means great eternity. Maha Moksha would make it a Buddhist name. Nicol goes on to argue that even the Brunei Sultan who died in Nanjing in 1408 was not a Muslim. Another European historian, Pelliot, Manajo Kian Nai Nai, was reconstituted as Maharaja Gyana, but the closest title would have been Maharaja Karna. However, Brunei historians have stated that the king was Sultan Abdul Majid Hassan, who would have been the second Sultan of Brunei. Nicol further argued that Sultan Muhammad Shah converted to Islam as late as the 16th century and not during the 14th century, as is widely known. However, according to Brunei historians, Sultan Muhammad Shah converted to Islam in 1376 and that he ruled until 1402, after which time it was Sultan Abdul Majid Hassan, who died in China, who ascended the throne. That was when Sultan Ahmad reigned in Brunei beginning 1406. Most likely, there were two waves of Islamic teachings that came to Brunei. The first was brought by traders from Arabia, Persia, India, and China. The second wave was brought about by the conversions of Sultan Muhammad Shah. With the coming of the second wave, Brunei's Islamization hastened. The propagation of Islam in Brunei was led by Sharif, with the name of Sharif Ali, who was a descendant from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam through his grandson Sayyidina Hassan or Sayyidina Hussein. Sharif Ali ascended the throne as the third Sultan of Brunei when he took over from his father-in-law. Because of his piousness, he was known as Sultan Barkat. Barkat means blessed. The mosque, especially the pulpit, was used by Sultan Sharif Ali himself. Sultan Sharif Ali himself conducted the sermons during Friday prayers. So he was not only the Sultan, but he was also the Imam and brought the religion directly to the Brunei people. According to Thomas Stamford Raffles in his book, The History of Java, the Islamic activities of Sultan Sharif Ali was not limited to Brunei. He was also known to have gone over to Java to propagate Islam, where he was known as Raja Sherman. He tried hard to convert the Majapahit king named Prabu Angka Wijaya. The efforts of the Brunei sultans in spreading Islam helped to spread Islam not only in Borneo, but also as far north as to the southern Philippine Islands. When Malacca fell to the Portuguese in 1511, it was Brunei which played a major role in the spread of Islam in the region. Brunei was a very powerful kingdom in the 15th and 16th centuries. It ruled over all of Sarawak, Sabah, and Borneo, as well as part of the Sulu Islands and the Philippines. Two great leaders from this period were the fifth ruler, Sultan Bulqiya, and the ninth ruler, Sultan Hassan. The empire's vast wealth, derived from international commerce, created a strong impression on early European explorers. They returned to Europe with stories of gold, regalia, and majestic ceremonies. By the 16th century, Brunei had built one of her biggest mosques. In 1578, Alonso Beltran, a Spanish traveler, described it as one of 5 stories tall built on the water. Most likely, it had 5 layers of roofs to represent the 5 pillars of Islam. It was firmly rooted in Brunei by the 16th century. The mosque was unfortunately destroyed by the Spanish in June that same year. By the time of Sultan Hassan, Brunei's 9th Sultan, Brunei had the Islamic laws incorporated into the Brunei canons. Penigran Datu Dr. Muhammad, writing a Malay article entitled Kemasukan Islam ke Brunei Darussalam dan Undang-Undangnya, Arrival of Islam in Brunei, Darussalam and the Laws, noted that out of the 47 chapters of the Brunei canons, 27 of those chapters had Islamic elements. In later centuries, declining trade and colonial intrusions eroded the size and influence of Brunei. Spanish explorers were the first Europeans to visit the Sultanate of Brunei, and trade with Europe quickly ensued. Internal strife brought on by conflicts over royal succession and colonial expansion by European powers caused a period of decline. By the end of the 18th century, Brunei was known as a haven for marauding pirates. Predominant British influence began in 1849, when the British, looking for a way to protect their lucrative trade between Singapore and northwest Borneo, took action against the pirate fleets and disabled them within 5 years. Previous British influence in the region had come from a British officer, Sir James Brooke, who was instrumental in helping the Sultan of Brunei quell a civil war. Oil discovered in Syria area in the 1920s changed Brunei forever. It was black gold that helped fuel Japanese interest in Borneo during World War II. And just 8 days after the attack on Pearl Harbor, Japan landed 10,000 troops on Brunei and occupied the country until June 1945, when Australian forces retook Brunei town. Returned to British governance, a new constitution was written in 1959, introducing self-government, and in the early 1960s, oil, together with the failed Brunei Revolt of December 1962, made it economically advantageous for the country to remain outside the Federation of Malaysia. Brunei became self-governing except in foreign affairs and defense in 1971, and became fully independent from Britain in 1984. The country maintains close military, economic, and cultural ties with the UK. Islam lived on in Brunei till today, and with the constitution in 1959, Islam became Brunei's official religion, and about 2/3 of Bruneians are Muslims of the Sunni Islam of the Shafi'i school of thought.